I am here today to talk to you about useless facts about Sega. If you think this is going to be boring, turn it off. But if you want to hear some cool facts, then listen. Why don't you? Suck on this, Atari. Because Sega's first ever video game was Periscope back in 1968. And it said in the advertisement, excitement, fun. But I bet that's the best they could do for entertainment in 1968. And it was well before Pac-Man, well before Atari, and those famous words, Pawn Nerd. And some of them, Sega's first ever video game titles, such as Zaxxon, were made originally for this old system, the ColecoVision. Later, Sega came up with its own system, the Sega Master System. And later, they came up with Sega Genesis, called the Master Drive in Japan. And a 16-bit system compared to the Nintendo at the time, which was only 8 bits. And their mascot was Alex Kidd. Sonic wasn't their mascot until 1991. If you're like me, you may have been influenced more by Sonic than Mario. Or games such or these. Did you ever like playing Road Rash? Where you get to race on motorcycles, and there's clubs and nunchucks, and you can beat the other racers off the bike, and you get to run from the police. You just know, as a kid, that's what you wanted to do when you grow up. Be racing on motorcycles, bashing other racers, and running from the cops. It sounds all so cool. And there were other great games for the Sega Genesis, such as some game with Donald Duck and Bart vs. the Space Mutants, which I could only get through maybe no more than 3 or 4 levels before I stopped. And I just couldn't get any further. And there were some strange titles for the system, such as The Incredible Crash Dummies, or this flicky game where you're this bird collecting these little chirps, and Michael Jackson Moonwalker. Not made for any other system. It's this game where you're Michael Jackson, and there's Michael Jackson music in it, and a special move is the moonwalk. Not to mention you're actually trying to save little children from the bad guy. Doesn't that sound a little creepy? In 1994, they came out with Virtual Fighters, their new arcade engine where everything was 3D. But of course now, it isn't that great. And later, coming out with the Sega Saturn, which apparently through 1996 was the best-selling system in Japan, outselling the Sony PlayStation. It even did well against the Nintendo 64, but later discontinuing it because it didn't sell as well in America. And in 1998, Sega came out with the Sega Dreamcast, which had the best-selling launch of a video game system at its time, with such titles as Soul Fighter, because now you had a system you could actually play people online, and games such as Crazy Taxi. And in 2001, they stopped making the system, and now they just make video games.